It gives me great pleasure to welcome you all here this evening to the Go Foundation launch for 2019. My name is Brooke Boney. I'm a Gamilaroi Gomeroi woman, so my family's from northern New South Wales. I'm a Go Foundation ambassador and I'm one of the hosts on the Today Show. Before we officially begin the proceedings this evening, I'd like to introduce Black Douglas, who will welcome us to country.
Wow, what a deadly spot. Has anybody spotted the falcons? Peregrine falcons flying about here, fastest creature on the planet. I'd like to acknowledge Gadigal country, more to do with that water there, because that's whale dreaming, Gadigal dreaming. And, but however, I'm a Dungari boy. Any Dungari mob here? Ooh, look out. So Dungari country is 348 kilometres that way. I was born in Blacktown, Western Sydney, that's 40 kilometres that way. And that's Darug country. And here I am to bedazzle you with a beautiful instrument. And that's from Yolngu country, which is a little bit further that way, Arnhem Land. And it's kind of customary to have a bit of didge playing, but what I'm going to do for you tonight is to just give you a few little kind of whirlwind tips on this remarkable instrument, one of the oldest woodwind instruments on the planet. And my yiraki tonight comes from a place called Dalamboy, which is northeast Arnhem Land, and that's Yolngu country. And my adopted wawa from up there is Jakapura Munarian, who is the big fella that dances for Bangara occasionally, you might see up the front there. So that's his yiraki that he made, but I'm going to show you about humble beginnings because I've been looking at the beautiful words up here from Aunt over here, saying that, you know, live the life that you dream. And for me, it began way back when, some 20 years ago, when it's commonly assumed you're a Koori boy, that you play didgeridoo. Every time I went to a NAIDOC gig, I saw all the fellas playing there, and I thought, maybe this was I should be doing, you know? So I said to Dad, can you teach me to play didgeridoo? You're a black fella. And he said, well, our people never played it, son. Nobody down here, this far south, played it. And I said, well, how am I going to learn how to play, Dad? He said, well, you can go all the way to northeast Arnhem Land and learn from the Yolngu boys because they invented it, or you can try circular key on Sunday. I went to learn proper way, hey. So I took that jump all the way there, saved up my lunch money for about a year from school, and then took that plane to northeast Arnhem Land, and I just went out to the community and learned my craft. But humble beginnings. How am I going to learn to play if Dad wouldn't teach me? That's what I asked Mum. Mums are geniuses. Mums can fix anything, yeah? Mum, I want to learn to play didge, but Dad's not going to teach me. How can I learn to play? I don't even have one. And she says, well, darling, I see this man on television the other night. He was a white fella, but he had this kind of robot-looking arm, and he was playing something that looked like a didgeridoo. We got the same thing in the hallway closet there. Why don't you start practicing on that? You're a genius, Mum. I knew exactly what you were talking about. So I go down the hallway closet there, and I find this one. Now, this is probably a collector's item now, eh? Electrolux vacuum cleaner tube. So I put this one in here, and with a bit of funk from my blackfella ancestry, I found my new career path. But, you know, that's not going to impress too many people. In fact, I used to take it to the birthday parties and barbecues, show my mates there, hey fellas, check out my style. And they'd say to me, Adam, that sucks. So I got rid of the vacuum cleaner tube and I looked for the real thing. That'd be in the form of this beautiful yiraki. Now, yiraki is made from a stringy bark gum tree, conical shape, like upside down ice cream cone, probably what makes it so deadly and so powerful. And the most important thing is that perfect sized mouthpiece there. And that's what you're going to need to control the sounds, yeah? So basically, the fundamental tips are, when you play this instrument, you've got to make your buzzing lips. Buzzing lips inside here. You make a high-pitched call when you're talking to the dancers there, and when you want to instruct them in the manakai, which is what they say up there for corroboree. And the most important sound is an overtone, which is a little quick burst of air, like an embouchure when you're playing a brass instrument, yeah? And it's a pretty tricky one. The tricky part is you've got to put them all together, yeah? And then make your song. But you don't just make this twangy kind of sounds like this. When you play it up there, you play it funky. And that's the most important thing about blackfella culture. So, boys say to you, you've got to put some funk into it. You put your deep voice in there when you're playing, yeah? And then you're going to put them all together. That's the easy part. Now, putting it together, and we're going to kind of make some razzle-dazzle sound. That would help using Bligh. Bligh is the Yolngu word for clapsticks. This is Bligh, made from ironwood eucalyptus, hardest wood on the continent. And the tricky part is for a Yiraki player to use these ones while he's standing up. So, I'm looking for help of some of these deadly young fellas here. And I can see fellas hiding behind their mums and that now. Oh, God, you're going to choose me? Nah. So, can I get somebody who's pretty deadly with these clapsticks here? One of you fellas? Come on now. You know how much money that cost to put this gig on? We've got to perform for them. Can somebody come help me? Come, bud. What's your name? Yeah, you can do it. Don't get stage fright now. Hey, look, how about this fella here? Come, bud. Can somebody help me? You know what? I'm gonna look for anybody now. This cameraman in here, he's a deadly. I can tell he got some funk in him. How about we just cut to the chase? Hey, look here. All right, thank you. What's your name, man? Phil. Hey, Phil. Like Douglas. So that one goes over there. That one goes there. Now, the thing is that you're going to help me anyway, because Uncle Phil, going to make the click. You're going to follow on your lap, or you can clap as well. Okay, so let's get this click going. Yep. Now, I'm going to play for a beautiful song. It's a song called Mumble Mumble, which celebrates catching kangaroo for the first time when you're a boy. And this song is played to celebrate you catching that kangaroo. And when you catch that kangaroo, you've got to pay respect to the spirit so the spirit comes back for you, you know? And it goes a bit like this one. Can you say Manimak? Manimak, a bit like what's happening in the Royal Commission. Manimak. That means good in Yolngu language. Thank you.
So these welcome to countries that we do every time we gather in a place like this is really important because it connects us to the fact that not that long ago, this place was solely inhabited by the Gadigal people. And by acknowledging the strength and resilience that those people had in order to survive and still survive and thrive now is a really, really important part of reconciliation and the way that we think of ourselves as a country now. So I'd like to acknowledge that we're meeting on the lands of the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation and pay my respects to their elders, both past and present. It's my great pleasure to welcome all of the Go scholars, all of the Go families, the directors, the ecosystem partners, and all of the supporters of the Go Foundation. We've had a huge year and we're going to have another big one ahead. We look forward to sharing some of that journey here with you tonight. Just a quick bit of housekeeping. If you need to go to the bathroom, just head straight back out to where you came as you entered. To officially welcome us here tonight, I'd like to introduce our host, Hina Chakravorty, Managing Director of Bloomberg for Oceania.
Thank you, everybody. Before I get started, I'd also like to acknowledge the land on which we stand today, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, and also I'd like to pay my respects to elders past, present, and emerging. Thank you again to Go for allowing us to host you for 2019. Philanthropy is really at the core of Bloomberg culture. And in 2018, we had 131 employees across 4 offices in Australia, spending over 1,600 hours volunteering and helping the communities in which we work and live today. We started our journey with Go Foundation exactly a year ago, and we've come a long way since then. We started, and we had about 75 volunteers over the course of 2018, spending 109 hours exclusively with Go over 13 events, some of which were here at the Bloomberg office, and some with our mutual partners who we work with across from a philanthropy perspective. We spent hours in the sun. Some of the kids didn't really enjoy the sun with the native, learning about the native plants in the Royal Botanical Garden, and they welcomed the respite afterwards when we came up into their air-conditioned room just over there. Since I was up here a year ago, we've come a long way. We've actually learnt so much. We've also started to develop our own RAP. This is the first year that we're developing a RAP. We've put together a RAP committee, and we've got so much more work to do. You know, we had 13 events last year. This year, I'd like to double that number. I want to make sure that we're bringing in as many of the students as possible to give them the opportunities that they wouldn't otherwise have. So I'm probably not the person that you really want to hear from, but I just want to say thank you for letting us support and work with you again. So thank you, everybody.
I'd now like to welcome to the stage Go Foundation Chair Sam Mostyn. She's the chair of Citibank Australia and Carriageworks. She sits on the board of Virgin Australia, Transurban Group and Mirvac, as well as the Diversity Council of Australia, the Climate Change Council and Climate Works. Sam has spent several years on the boards of Reconciliation Australia, the New South Wales Education Foundation and the National Mental Health Commission. Now this goes on for about 4 pages, so I don't know if we've got time for this, Sam. You're a bit of an overachiever, to be honest. Please put your hands together and welcome Sam to the stage.
Thank you so much, Brooke. It's wonderful to have you here. And can we congratulate Brooke on her rocketing up into Channel 9 and taking the national conversation to a whole new level. I do a lot of things, and there was one that you missed out that I'm very conscious of tonight. I'm very fortunate to sit on the board of the Sydney Swans, and the Sydney Swans have been an extraordinary supporter of Go, and we've got the head coach here, we've got the chief executive and members of the board and the team at the Sydney Swans. So I just want to acknowledge that that's a big part of my life and Go's life as well. Yeah. I'd also like to acknowledge that we meet on Gadigal country and pay my respects to elders past and present, to emerging leaders and to all of the extraordinary Indigenous leaders that are rising in front of our eyes and have done so much work for this country over so many years. It's wonderful to be sharing this space with you tonight. Hina said it, and thank you, Hina, for hosting us again, but you don't want to hear from people like me and Hina tonight because we're the corporate types. So I'm very, very fortunate to have just taken over the chair of the board of the Go Foundation, and I'd like to really pay a lot of respect on behalf of the entire organisation and all of the scholars to our retiring chairman, Peter Muir. Peter, why don't you just put your hand up so everyone can see you? Peter has been an extraordinary force with Go. I can tell you that he started his support for Go when Go began over 5 years ago in about 2014 formally, but he actually was one of the greatest supporters of Adam Goods and Mick O'Loughlin when they were 19-year-olds at the Swans. I think he was probably a Guernsey backer, a Locker supporter. He's been behind Adam and Michael and James setting up Go for a very long time. He's not going to leave us. He's going to be a big advisor for us on a lot of our investment strategies and the future for Go, but we couldn't be where we are today without Peter Muir. Peter, the board thanks you very, very much, and we couldn't have got here without you. Part of our transition with me taking over the chair is to share that position over time with one of the founders. And we're starting by announcing that Mick O'Loughlin is the deputy chair of the Go Foundation and will move to be a co-chair of the foundation as he gets his credentials under his belt at the Institute of Company Directors. But the founders want to be a big part of the governance of this operation. And you'll hear from Mick later, but I couldn't think of anything better than be working with Go on the board and have a deputy in the form of Mick O'Loughlin. So a big round of applause for Mick. You'll hear later, Adam couldn't be here tonight because he's doing some work interstate, but you'll hear from him on a video. All the board members are here tonight. I won't introduce them all, but we're blessed to have an extraordinary board that has fully deployed itself to want to get a great future for the Go Foundation. It means a lot to all of us, and seeing the students again tonight, the new crop of students, just makes us incredibly happy. In that vein, and in getting rid of the corporate speak, my task now is simply to introduce a video for you to watch. You may have to come closer to hear the sound on the video, but two of our superstars from the Go Foundation, two of our wonderful students who fronted a campaign we ran last year. It was the Go Further campaign. It involved two of our students putting themselves out in front of the Australian community and the global community, telling their story, not just about their education, but their connection to country. It was one of the most extraordinary pieces of media that I think not only has Go created, but we've seen in this country. Over 2 million people saw this Go Further campaign on Twitter, and a further 4 million people were able to see and engage with this video. So Lua and Yaron, who are here tonight, where are you both, Lua and Yaron? Here we are. Here's Lua, and Yaron, I saw earlier, is over here. You're about to see the superstars of Go in a wonderful video, and I'd encourage you, once you've seen it tonight, to engage in the Go Further campaign on our website and on Twitter. And it's my great honour now to hand you into the safe hands of the video of Lua and Yaron and Go Further.
There's just something so powerful about sitting outside at night, alone, just looking at the stars.
It's a great feeling being on country. It's a big experience. Love everything about it.
My great-grandmother and my grandmother were both a part of the stolen generation, and that's definitely affected us because there's all these gaps in our knowledge, like we're missing that connection to country and our land and our people.
I definitely see some of these experiences shaping my identity, and it's a massive privilege to be a part of a culture that's been around for more than 60,000 years.
Education is the most powerful tool because it unlocks so many opportunities and it changes my potential.
I tell Aboriginal kids having an education does open up doors for you, that there is support out there.
Indigenous culture, it's for everyone, and I think that you define it.
So put yourself out there, give it 100%. I believe that there will be opportunities. Don't worry about what other people think of you. Education gives you freedom.
You're the one that gets to retell that story for generations to come, making sure that it continues for another 60,000 years.
My name is Bronte Charles. I'm a proud Bundjalung woman, and my people come from a small town in southern Queensland called Beaudesert. I would like to start off by acknowledging the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation, the traditional custodians of this land, and pay my respects to Indigenous leaders of the past, present, and emerging. Education means everything to me. It means freedom. Freedom from ignorance, freedom from hardship, and freedom from stereotypes. Education means having a type of freedom that is so powerful that you don't just change your own life, but your family's lives as well. For many Indigenous kids like myself, education gives us the power to create our own pathways. I chose to get an education for my great-aunt Delma who couldn't, because she was put into Cootamundra Girls' Home as part of the stolen generation to be trained for domestic service. I chose to get an education because my grandma was taught not to believe in her own capabilities because she was Indigenous, and because of this, had to teach herself how to read and write at 13. I chose to get an education because statistically, I have a better chance of getting arrested than finishing high school. Most importantly, I chose to get an education because I deserve it. I remember Michael telling us about how he would get real shame when he had to go to his cousin's house to get food. And in a similar sense, when my friends would come and pick me up from basketball training, I would get real shame about where I was living at the time, which was Redfern Housing Commission. And I remember that I used to be asked to be dropped at the end of the street where all the posh terrace houses were. But I've come to realise that that experience made me who I am. It was a part of me. being gifted with a scholarship at Pymble Ladies College. Initially, I felt self-conscious because the other girls in my year had grown up differently to how I have. I remember one time when Dad and I were driving to school, he told me that it didn't matter how I got to Pymble. It mattered that I was there and that I was doing just as well as every girl in every classroom that I sat in. He told me that growing up tough meant that I had the advantage of being more determined than ever to succeed to better my circumstances. Linda Burney, who was here today, the first Aboriginal woman to serve in the House of Representatives, said, "I surprised a lot of my teachers of being a bright student. It certainly wasn't the expectation back then." She proved that to be Aboriginal meant more than handouts from the government and alcoholism, that it meant resilience, strength and courage. And she worked hard for herself and her family, just as I have. Education today is far more than pens and paper with a teacher using a chalkboard to get a message across. Students need laptops, internet at home, textbooks, and other expensive resources to complete tasks as simple as homework. Indigenous students without access to these things fall behind. It impedes on their ability to reach their full potential and is something that I've experienced firsthand. I remember in primary school, one of my teachers singled me out in front of the whole class and asked me if my mum could afford $15 for an excursion. That memory is something that will always stick with me and is something that will always motivate me to work hard so that other Indigenous students do not miss out on the full opportunity and experience of education. I can say that the Go Foundation have gone above and beyond to put a break to a cycle that many Indigenous youth feel trapped in. The Go Foundation have given me something so valuable yet priceless, which is the ability to believe in myself and my own capabilities as a proud Indigenous woman. Being able to see your own value in society is something that Indigenous people have always struggled with, because we've always been told that we aren't good enough. And even when Indigenous people can see what they bring to the table, they aren't offered a seat. The Go Foundation, however, has offered me somewhere to sit, and through my own hard work, I've been able to push and fight for a seat at the table and for my voice to be heard. I'm proud of what I've achieved this year, and on the 25th of February, I'll start studying a Bachelor of Marketing and Media at Macquarie University. I was even lucky enough to get a scholarship to go to college the 3 years that I'll be at Macquarie. Through Go's close relationship with Career Trackers, I'm in the midst of doing an internship at IAG. Last week, I had the privilege of going to the Career Trackers Leadership Conference, which was an amazing event. My mum has now been inspired and is doing a teaching course, which is something she wasn't given the opportunity to do when she was younger. When I asked her why she wanted to study again, she told me it's because I've proven to her that there is a place for Indigenous people in the workforce. Your belief in me and my culture is more far-reaching than you think. Our stories are a real symbol of change in an attitude towards and from Aboriginal people. I've never been more proud to be Indigenous. To finish, I have a few thank yous. To everyone at Career Trackers, you have given me an opportunity of a lifetime. To the CEO, Michael, I don't know where you are, my thanks to you will lie in my ability to excel in whatever field I'm working in. For someone who is not Indigenous, to be able to see the strength that lies in my culture means so much to me. To my advisor, Angie, thank you for always checking up on me, for being so involved and for genuinely caring about my well-being. You are so kind-hearted and I wouldn't be at IAG without you. To my manager, Jason, I saw him before, somewhere in the back I'm guessing. You have made me feel so valued every day that I've walked into work, and it's really helped me believe in myself. I look back to my interview where I was twiddling my thumbs to 3 weeks later where you can't shut me up. I can definitely see the confidence that I've built by being with IAG. Your ability to treat everyone in the office with kindness, your positive attitude, and your constant encouragement in everything that I do has made me not only see you as a manager, but as a mentor. Shirley, Adam and Michael, and everyone else in the Go Foundation will never fully understand how thankful I really am for the opportunity they have given me. What they're doing because they care, and they genuinely believe in the power that lies in Indigenous education. They are the most insightful, inspiring and compassionate role models in my life, and they truly go above and beyond for all of us. So much so that Shirley even spent an hour and a half on the phone with me trying to help me choose a university course. So to everyone at Go, I say thank you. To the Go scholars here today, never stop believing in yourself and never give up. I see in this room Aboriginal doctors, physiotherapists, lawyers and engineers. I see talent, hard work and resilience. We cannot change the past, but we can pave the way for future generations so that we can live in a society where the odds are never again stacked against us. Lastly, I couldn't have done it without my dad, who is standing over there taking a video. Being a single parent and raising me since I was 13 was a new experience for both of us. I know that acrylic nails, fake tan, and my constant tears during the HSC are things that you've had to learn to deal with. But I thank you for sticking by me on this journey and for all of your support. Because of you, I never gave up. Thank you.
Bronte, you nailed it. She was very nervous. Thank you so much. Education really does change lives, and every time we come to one of these Go Foundation events, we meet more children who are so inspiring, and obviously not only inspiring the next generation, but inspiring their parents as well, which is such an excellent story to hear. I'll give Shirley a couple of seconds to wipe away the tears before I invite her up to the stage. Oh, Mick's next. All right. Just keeping you on your toes, just to make sure you're ready. Everyone, please put your hands together for Michael O'Loughlin.
Thank you, Brooke. I've got to follow that, Bronte. Thank you for that welcome to country, Uncle Black. Outstanding as always. My name's Michael O'Loughlin. I'm an Narungga, Nurrungeri and Kaurna man from Adelaide. I've lived here in Sydney a long time now. 25 years, I think I'm counting. There's a lot of familiar faces in here, a lot of people that have helped me along my journey. And I have a lot of thank yous to go through, so I'll get on with it. Hina and Taryn from Bloomberg, thank you for having, and obviously the Go Foundation launch here again. You've always opened the back door, so to speak. Doesn't look like my house, but thank you for having us again. The partnerships have been amazing, and there's a lot of people in this room that we have partnerships with, and they sit in our ecosystem and they do a hell of a job with our students. So thank you very, very much. And can I just get a round of applause for our partners, please? Our board, obviously I've always said this, they're the strength of our foundation. We have incredible leaders and being able to direct us in the right direction and steer the ship, so to speak. They've been fantastic. You mentioned we saw Sam Austin, who's a mentor. We absolutely love you, Sam, and we're so privileged to have you as our new chairman. And I can't wait to, as I said, we spoke about me potentially taking over this role down the track, so I better get in the gear and start learning some things. But I look forward to sitting with you, working closely with you, and with our board, obviously, who have been, as I mentioned, the strength of our foundation. My co-founder, Adam Goods, is not here at the moment, but we're going to hear from Adam right now, I believe. He's coming in live from Tasmania. There we go. So we'll listen to Adam for a second, and we'll go.
Good evening, everyone. Sorry I can't be there tonight. Unfortunately, I'm going to be down in Tasmania for some work commitments. Tonight is a fantastic night for us to launch our ecosystem, and if you've been a friend, a member of the Go family since we've started, you know it's all about the ecosystem and the corporate partners and people and relationships that we have that really help us do what we want to do, and that is give scholarships to young men and women here in New South Wales, but more importantly, our push into South Australia. And if everyone that doesn't know, Michael and I are very passionate about SA. That's where we're both from, and to be finally taking our scholarship program back into our home country is something that we're both very proud of, and we wouldn't be able to do it without the ecosystem that we've created here in New South Wales and in South Australia. Just want to do a quick shout out to all the boys and girls in the room this year, going into another year of school. Congratulations on the success that you've had so far, and for those new students who have accepted their first year as a Scholar of Go, we're really excited about the partnership that we've created with you and your families in the schools. We're looking forward to seeing you really shine. Don't be afraid to ask questions. Ask a lot of us from Go and our ecosystem, because we are there to support you to achieve your dreams. For everybody else in the room, I really hope you have a great night. And once again, I'm so sorry I can't be there tonight. I know Michael will be cracking a lot of gags about me behind my back. That's where he does some of his best work. But yeah, have a great night, and I'll speak to you all soon.
Thanks, Goodsy. I wish you were great mates. And Adam sends his apologies as mentioned, but without him and I guess another co-founder, James Gallishan, stands there with the vision of what we were trying to put together, and had no idea how we're going to do it. We've come a long way, James, and obviously Adam is in Tasmania, and surrounding yourself with the right people was really, really important, and if the young people in the room can take one thing away, that's probably a really good start. Talking about our board and our new chairwoman, I'd like to again acknowledge Peter Muir. And Peter, we went on this journey. You've been there, I can't even remember how old I was, probably 18 and 19, as Sam mentioned. Both Adam and I, we want to thank you for your support, your leadership, your friendship, your integrity, and the way that we've been able to watch and learn, and the way you've been able to govern and I guess show us the ropes and how to do things the right way. We'll be forever in your debt, mate, and just another round of applause for Peter. Thank you. Our students, we are so proud of you. As Adam mentioned, we want you to shine. We want you to shine. Our new students that are joining us this year going through to school, welcome. We look forward to watching your development. And I think I mentioned this last year. What the Go Foundation has done is we've offered you an opportunity. It's actually what you do with that opportunity is up to you. A couple of things I've sort of jotted down. And the things that I've learnt, and Sam mentioned the Sydney Swans Footy Club that are here. John, thank you for your support as always, and Tom Harley, good luck for this year. And obviously you've got a few of the other crew here from the Swannies, but I've learned a lot in my time at a footy club as a 17-year-old. And one of the things was obviously working hard, do what you say you're going to do. Never give up. These are a couple of things that I've learnt along my journey, and to be able to sit here and speak to our young students, it's about never giving up, having a go. You never know what's going to happen around the corner. But if you work hard, you give yourself every chance to make sure that your dreams come true. And I'm living testament to that as a 17-year-old kid from Adelaide who was 70 kilo and had nothing, to be playing a lot of football, starting a foundation with my best mate and owning a business, and the first one in my family to do so. It is possible. But there are some sacrifices along that way, along that journey. No one's going to do it for you. You have to roll the sleeves up and get to work. It's really simple. There's no secret cure or medicine to take. If you want to do the work, you will get rewarded. It might not happen straight away, but it will happen. And people want to surround yourself. People want to get around people like that who do all those things. And I look around here, and there's people I've known since I was 17 years of age, and are still supporting and mentoring me and offering me advice. So never give up. I'm going to keep it really simple here today, guys. That's all I had to say. I'm really proud of what we've been able to achieve. We've got a long journey ahead of us. We have the right board. We have the right chairwoman. Our supporters in the past are still here. I've learnt a hell of a lot. Peter Muir, I look at you in particular. The things that both Adam and I have been able to do over this journey, it hasn't ended. To our kids, as I mentioned before, roll the sleeves up and get to work. This is just an opportunity. What you do with your life is up to you, and we'll be there to support you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Mick. Obviously, it's because of you and Adam that we're all here, and we all owe you an enormous debt for the work that you've done for these kids, and for giving us the opportunity to share our stories and empower other Aboriginal people as well. So thank you. Now I'd like to welcome Shirley, our CEO, to the stage. Thank you.
I'd like to start by acknowledging that tonight we meet on Gadigal land, and I'm so proud to pay my respects to elders past, present and emerging, and a special shout out to our Go students. It's such a special thing to be on land that always was and always will be Aboriginal land, and to be here celebrating the work of this foundation and of Adam and Mick. It's wonderful to welcome you all here tonight. There are still seats at the front. I'm going to talk for about an hour and a half, so if you don't want to sit. Usually on a night like this, I'd spend some time sharing with you what we did in the past year and what we're aiming for during the next 12 months. I'd tell you that we grew our scholarship numbers, that we increased the size of our ecosystem, that we increased our partnerships, and our fundraising went well. I'd share with you the story of our launch in Adelaide next week. Such a special milestone in Go's journey. As Mick said, they've always wanted to take the program back to Adelaide, but what we're hearing from people in Adelaide is the immense pride that they feel that their sons are bringing their success home. And I think that's a really important thing to acknowledge the work that Adam and Michael have done. But tonight, rather than sharing a list with you of what we've achieved, I'd like to share stories of our students. Because at the heart of our program are our kids. And it's their stories that are really our success. So I'd like to share 3 examples with you, if you'll bear with me. This year, when we looked at the applications for our Public Education Foundation scholarships, we received over 11 applications for every place we were offering. Each application was 14 or 15 pages, and I think it's testament to the commitment of our board and our organisation that each one of those scholarship applications was read at least 7 times. The gravity of saying no to a student is very heartfelt by the people at Go. In those applications, there were 3 very common themes. The absolute dire need for a program like Go and the scholarships we offer was evident on the face of every one of those scholarship applications. There were children working 3 jobs to support mum so she could pay the rent. There were children who lived 45 minutes from their school and had no means of transport to get there, so they'd walk. But that meant on stormy days they couldn't go to school. There were lives affected by trauma and the racism of low expectations. There were children living by themselves, children who'd emancipated themselves from parents, who were living with extended family to focus on education. There were parents who were struggling to pay the bills and put food on the table. And these stories weren't 1 in 10 or 1 in 100. They were in every single application we read. But the applications had 2 other things in common. At Go, one of our criteria is cultural pride and a strong cultural identity or sense of cultural identity. And in every one of those applications, we saw the strong pride in Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander identity coming through. Children who had very little else, but were in dance troupes, in NAIDOC celebrations, doing welcomes to country at school, doing mentoring of other Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander students. Students who were relying on their love and connection of country to get them through. And the other thing we saw was the incredible aspiration and dreams that came through these applications. Children who somehow had figured out that if they worked hard and had an opportunity, if doors opened, that they could make a go of it and they could empower themselves to change their lives. And that's what we were looking for. And you heard from Bronte tonight, and can I just take a moment to acknowledge what a remarkable speech that was. I've seen Bronte over the last few years develop into such a beautiful young woman, confident and able to deliver a speech like that. So just congratulations, Bronte. So you've heard tonight about what a difference those opportunities make and what difference it makes to open doors. I'd like, if I could, to read from 2 applications, and I'm not going to identify these students. I just want you to get a sense of the aspirations that these kids have. I moved to Sydney and away from my family so that I could have more opportunities. However, there have been hardships I have faced. Living away from home without my support network of family and friends is difficult, because I don't have my parents close by to talk about personal issues or help to organise me so that I manage my time well to reach my potential. I've had to develop these skills, and it's very hard. I am at risk of having to move home and away from these wonderful opportunities because of ab-study payments and the hostel and the cost of living away from home. But I'm dedicated and I give 100% to my education and sport. And this from a child who has worked so hard to give herself opportunities. In the future, I would love to be a police officer. I repeated Year 10 so that I could get better grades, and I'm working hard this year. My school reports say my grades have increased by 30%. I believe that the contacts and support the scholarship will give me will help me achieve my dream. I'm willing to work hard and finish school with good marks, and then to go to Canberra to study at the Australian Federal Police College. I left my home to get away from violence, drugs and alcohol because I felt that the environment was putting me on a bad track. I'm determined not to follow in my parents' footsteps. So they're the applications. But I'd like to share with you now one very special story. I had probably the most astounding day of my career about 3 months ago. We get emails all the time in the Go Foundation inbox from social workers, from teachers, from parents asking for support for their students. And this one came from a young social worker who'd started working with a young Aboriginal man of 17. And this social worker said, the email was very similar to other emails we'd received, with one exception. It talked about how he was in out-of-home care, in resi care, how he was living in violent circumstances. He just needed a safe place to live and an opportunity. But at the end of this email was one line that really got my attention. It said that he wanted to be an astrophysicist. When I was 17, I didn't even know what astrophysics was. The next day, I arranged to meet this child, this young man, and I was just blown away by his good grace, his humility, and his just sheer determination. And at the end of the meeting, I asked him what we could do to help him. And he said, Shirley, if you can just get me a safe place to live and get me into university, I'll do the rest. So the next day I came back to my office and I sent an email at 11 o'clock in the morning to a number of our ecosystem partners, all of whom are here today. And in that email, I asked for a number of things. I explained this young man's situation, and I asked for accommodation, for a job, and entry to university. And after, I think, probably a few hundred emails that day, those emails crossed back and forth all day. At 9 o'clock that night, I sent an email to those ecosystem partners saying that St Greg's had come forward and offered this young man boarding for the 3 weeks until the HSC and until the exams had finished, that they'd offered him that boarding free of charge to go and free of charge to that young man, regardless of whether he attended St Greg's or not. GHD offered him a job from the minute the HSC finished through to the time university began. UTS came forward and offered him a scholarship to attend and do a Bachelor of Engineering. It was Bachelor of Science at that time, but he ended up liking work so much at GHD, he changed it to engineering. That ecosystem came together and invested in our young man. And that young man, and actually one of the ecosystem partners, somebody from GHD, rang me at 9 o'clock when I sent out that email. And she told me it was one of the most joyous days of her career, as it was for all of us. And that young man has already started to show us what he's capable of. He did an internship with Career Trackers at GHD. He changed to engineering. And this week I had the honour of going and witnessing his Career Trackers internship presentation. And I learnt that he did 2 pitch proposals while he was an intern, and both resulted in incoming business to GHD. That young man tonight has asked me to share his name. His name is David Wyman, and I want you to remember that name because I have no doubt that it's a name you're going to hear again and again. This year we had 60 students graduating from year 12, and they've all chosen to go on to university. And we always said at Go that if we made that journey through school easier, if we gave our students the resources and tools to get through school, they would self-select further education. And all these students did. We had our first graduate Go student this year, graduating from a Bachelor of Health Science in the Uni of SA. And he's moved states, gotten engaged, and is now looking for work. This year we've got students studying engineering, business, advertising and media, medicine, law, the arts, education, marine biology, communications, nursing, and much more. We've got children from kindergarten through to year 12, and they've all had incredibly successful years. They've completed their years. We've got students who are head boy and prefects and doing really, really well. These stories are the story of the Go Foundation. Our story is not one of numbers or spreadsheets or emails or contracts. Our stories are the hearts and minds of these children here today and these young people here. And in this NAIDOC year of voice, treaty and truth, it is ever so important, and more important than ever before, that we give our students the ability to share their voice and that we amplify those voices and give them a seat at the table. You've heard tonight, and you can see what that can do, what opening doors and giving those opportunities can do for these kids. So I want to leave you with one message. As the speeches finish and we show you Lua and Yaren's video, and you go off and you talk to our students tonight, please ask yourself, and as you leave this venue tonight, ask yourself, what else can we be doing to open doors and provide opportunities to these students? What else can we be doing to give them a platform? Because that's all we do. We give them a platform, they do the hard work, and they shine. Thank you very much for all your support. This ecosystem could not be possible without your support. Thank you.
There's just something so powerful about sitting outside at night, alone, just looking at the stars.
It's a great feeling being on country. It's a big experience. Love everything about it.
There's all these gaps in our knowledge.
It's amazing to be a part of a culture that's shaping my identity and been around for more than 60,000 years.
Education is the most powerful tool because it unlocks so many opportunities and it changes my potential.
I tell Aboriginal kids having an education does open up doors for you, that there is support out there.
Indigenous culture, it's for everyone, and I think that you define it.
So put yourself out there, give it 100%. I believe that there will be opportunities. Don't worry about what other people think of you. Education gives you freedom.
Beautiful stories. Thank you so much for your speech as well, Shirley. It was absolutely wonderful. That sort of wraps up our formalities for this evening. So thank you all so much for coming. Whoop, whoop. Hold the phone, I'm tricking you again. Up on for a group photo? Sure, okay. So we're going to get a big selfie when we finish. Just FYI, if you need to powder your face a little bit, now's the time to do it. In the meantime, thank you so much to Bloomberg for hosting us this evening. And thank you all so much for coming and continuing to show up, because of the work that you do with the Go Foundation. We're able to tell stories like this and help children like this. So I hope you all have a great evening and get home safe. Thank you.